Hey guys, it's Liz from blueandhazel.com and welcome to my homeschool YouTube channel. Today I can't wait to share with you some of the books that we're reading. If you're like me, then you love looking at book lists and you're always looking kind of for like the next book recommendation or thing to try. I have a 4th grader, 3rd grader, and 1st grader coming up this year, so they're finishing up kindergarten, 2nd, 3rd. So all of these books I feel like are suitable for all of those ages, and I'm totally a fan of having older kids listen in on picture books and also having littler kids listen in on chapter books. Usually though, I do tell my 6-year-old that if it's a longer book and he says, "Mama, do I have to listen to this?" I usually say, "No, you can go play." And then he's in the other room playing, or sometimes in our room playing. And if he wants to and he's enjoying it, then great. And if not, I just don't want to force it, especially on some of those longer books. But if it is a picture book that I've gotten for him, I will ask him to come and sit next to me so that he can see the pictures. For the first one, this is one that my oldest, my 9-year-old, read to himself, and it's a really fun book. He loved it and was telling me all about it. And I think one of the things he liked was that it's a choose your own adventure book. Not only are you learning about life in ancient Greece, and it's also an interactive story, and so you read through it and then you have to make the decision what you want to do, and it'll tell you which page to turn to. So these are really fun books, and I think my son read this a couple times through because he didn't like some of the endings, and so he went back to the earlier page where he could decide something else. We really liked this one, Ride On, Will Cody, A Legend of the Pony Express. And I thought this was a really engaging book, great pictures, and not overly wordy. We've read another book on the Pony Express before, and it was pretty long, but this one was really wonderful to listen to and not very wordy, as you see. But it also has in the back this kind of informational thing about the Pony Express and Buffalo Bill, and that way you can enjoy the book and then get some actual information in the back of like who this guy was and why this matters. So the next one that we read is called Rescue Ann Jessica, A Life-Changing Friendship. And my daughter really liked this one, my 8-year-old did. This is based on a true story of this girl in the story named Jessica, and she actually lost her legs in the Boston Marathon bombing, and so it mentions that in the story, so that is something that your kids might be shocked about. You may or may not want to go into that more, but that is how she lost her legs, and it tells the story of her rescue dog and how he helps her just get through the changes in learning how to live a happy life with a new body and prosthetic legs. This one is really fun if you want silly poetry in your house, but it's just silly kid poems with really great pictures. And we enjoyed this one a lot. This particular book, A Rock is Lively, you will see all over the nature-inspired book list if you look for those, but the pictures are just incredible. And it really is just so beautiful. Like, reading through this is fun just to look at the pictures and read about different kinds of rocks and how they're formed, and yeah, just kind of a cool book. Next up, I have The Talking Eggs, and we have not read this story yet. I would have pulled this up on some book recommendation. The next one that I have up here is part of our kind of ongoing humongous list of books that I want to read on the Civil War, and a picture book of Robert E. Lee. I thought this just looked like a relatable story that the kids could learn about who he was, what his position in the war was, and it's very story-like, and so hopefully that one is just going to be engaging and short, and that they will remember his name and what he did. So this particular story is called Out of Darkness, The Story of Louis Braille, and it is awesome. This probably took us 4 days to read, and my 8-year-old daughter loved this book. We had read a little kind of picture book of Louis Braille before, but this one has a lot more detail of his life. It shares how he became injured as like a 4-year-old boy, and he became blind in both eyes, and was eventually sent to a school for blind boys, the only school in the world at that time in Paris, France. The books that they were reading at that time were like raised embossed letters, and he actually was inspired to create his system of Braille from a captain in the French Navy that had created a code using raised dots and dashes. And so it's a really fun story, a true story of how he created the Braille alphabet that we still use today for the blind. This particular one we haven't read yet, but I've heard great things about it, Of Walden Pond. Look at how beautiful the pictures are, going through winter time to springtime to summer and fall. Next up, we have a silly book, just Cyrus the Unsinkable Sea Serpent. This is a great read aloud book, and just really fun pictures in there. My 6-year-old and 8-year-old liked being read this book. Next up, we have Mama Panya's Pancakes, a village tale from Kenya. This woman eventually hosts this pancake meal for people in her village, but doesn't have enough money to buy the ingredients. And just the pictures are awesome, and it shows the generosity of everybody that comes, what they end up bringing, and how they end up enjoying each other's fellowship and sharing whatever it is that they have with each other. Then we have My Great Aunt Arizona. I have not read this yet, but it was recommended to me by another homeschooling mom, and it just looks great. So we're gonna read it. Get that. I have Look What I Found at the Beach. It has some just different anatomy of shells and things that you would find there, and just kids playing and talking to each other. So just looked very cute. I also got these books, which are really popular in the homeschool world of nature study and things like that, Over and Under series. So there's Over and Under the Canyon, then there's Over and Under the Pond, and we read Over and Under the Snow, I think was the other one. And I'll show you what it looks like inside, but I'm going to be honest that, well, I was excited about reading these because I love nature study. I love reading books on nature. My kids were kind of bored. So it's beautiful. I think they were not a fan. And then this one, just showing you different animals and what they're up to over and under. So anyways, I like the books. My kids were not a big fan. One of the last ones that I wanted to show you that we are reading, we love, love, love these books, and they're called You Wouldn't Want to Be series. They're animated pictures. My kids can read them on their own, and they're just so interesting, and they learn a ton, but they're written in such a way that like my kids want to read them, and they're silly, but they're still learning so much about life in different time periods and what it would have been like to, you know, X, Y, or Z. So anyways, we have a bunch of these at my house right now, but I will just show you this one for now. The last one that I wanted to share was a diary style type book that we are reading through from our long list of Civil War books. And this one here, she's just describing her experience as a teenage girl in a Confederate family in the South, and she's describing, you know, what life is like with like all of the men being gone fighting, and her brother has passed away in the war, her dad's gone, and just it's a really neat kind of like way for my kids, I feel like, to be able to just have some perspective of what life might have been like on both sides of the fighting, and how there are families that are good families on both sides of the fighting. There are families that are losing brothers and uncles and friends on both sides. But just kind of a heads up, if you are thinking about reading this to your kids, especially if they're young, They do own slaves in this book, and this particular family in here are kind to their slaves, but some of the families are not, and so be aware of that if you are going to be talking about that with your kids. If you found this video fun or helpful or want to see more like this, please give it a thumbs up, or let me know in the comments if you want to see more book review videos or just like what we're reading now videos. Anyways, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.